Due to some recent posts and responses from a certain TikToker on here, I want to address some things.
I wonder who that certain TikToker and certain responses are.
Unfortunately, there are a lot of Christians who say they aren't homophobic, but take it upon themselves to do series on pride.
Oh no, a Christian who wants to have loving, respectful, and virtuous dialogue with the LGBTQ community and shout out LGBTQ Christian content creators? How dare he? What an abomination.
I also want to say I appreciate people who want to bring to light that there is the possibility of trauma caused by church and a lot of abuse that happens in the church and has been going on for many, many years. I appreciate that. But if it is not your story of trauma to tell, stay out of it.
So firstly, how do you know what is and isn't my story? How do you know what I've been through and what I have not? You only know me through a screen. I'm 20 years old. That's 20 years of experience that you know nothing about. Secondly, I just completely reject this notion. I think that the notion that you can only tell a story or talk about something if it is your story or thing to talk about is kind of ridiculous, because we couldn't do history, for example, if this was a true statement. And there are so many other things that we just could not do if this was a true statement. In fact, I've had people personally in my life, as well as people who have suffered religious trauma, being grateful that I, as a member of the Christian community and of the true church, is willing to engage in a discussion about religious trauma. So I also think that there are plenty of people who would disagree with you there too.
Support creators like myself, but don't try to tell our story when it's not your story to tell. If you want to do your part, stand up to those who are doing the abusing. That's your place.
I love how you have a problem with me doing something, and so you are encouraging other people not to do that. Particularly, don't tell their story. Let them tell their story. You just need to stand up against the abusers. That's your place. But yet when I give a boundary, then I respectfully ask you to follow that boundary for my content, you blatantly disrespect me and what I asked you to do by saying, no, you weren't going to do that, and then haphazardly doing that by making a video that doesn't mention me but alludes to me. Let's just add hypocrisy to the bucket list of issues here.
There are a lot of people who think that when someone speaks up against things that happened, or things that are wrong, that are beliefs, and things that are said that are wrong, when you have a trauma story, that standing up against those things automatically means that you're just having a trauma response. Pointing out crappy behavior and crappy beliefs does not automatically deem that as a trauma response.
And here we go with the straw man logical fallacy once again. I did not say that using your traumatic experience in order to spot an error and correct an error is a problem. I have a Christian Stop Being Goofy series. I want to and have shouted out content creators that don't agree with me, that have pointed out abuse. And I want to do a series on religious trauma because I noticed that people are suffering and having terrible experiences from some of the things that are going on in church, and their voices need to be heard. I don't have a problem with that. Why I concluded that this was a trauma response: you misunderstood something I said that was said to you in conversion therapy, and then attacked me on the basis of that misunderstanding, and viewed me not as a person, not as a Christian content creator who is a human being with feelings and emotions and who will take what you say to heart. You saw me as a perpetrator of your trauma, and It was very obvious from that, from your body language, and again, LGBTQ people that I got feedback from, and even a psych major who can read body language pointed this out.
But I am more than willing to use my story to tell why what you're saying is not okay, and where someone like myself is coming from, and that type of rhetoric that you're speaking and why it's toxic. I'll do that for anyone who I see is saying very toxic things, and having my background, I can recognize it more quickly than some can.
The irony of claiming to be able to see toxic behavior and beliefs due to your unique experience and background quicker than other people can, yet not being able to see the fact that you have completely misunderstood my words in thinking I said something toxic that I didn't actually say, is amazing.
If you don't fully understand the backgrounds of people who have stories like mine, use your time to listen instead of accuse or assume things about people until you've actually heard people's stories. Take the time to learn, not point fingers.
I agree with you, and I think that the Bible would say something similar to that. It's just amazing how you don't take your own advice.